like unwater yourself and get a little whatever break, you can go ahead and do that. I'm going to gather a few materials. You should do so as well. I am going to walk through the entire procedure of cutting.
Like, hey, if you have to go unwater yourself, please do that now, because I have to go gather some things. I'm like, yes, I have to pee so bad.
Thank you, Lacey.
Oh my God, I'm so sorry. I thought I just videoed myself.
Nope, you're totally good. We didn't hear anything bad, so you are all gravy. Okay, the materials that I am gathering that you are feel free to gather yourself. I have the instructions sheet for building a movable larynx and the actual sheet for creating the movable larynx. Jennifer, this is a craft project which requires the cutting and pasting and gluing and whatevering together these pieces. If you have someone there with you to do it, that's spectacular. If not,
you're figured I'd just listen. Yeah.
I
figured I'd just listen. Yeah.
Totally, 100%. You can hear what some of these things are called and where they go. Yeah, I'm totally.
Yeah, I saw the email earlier on Calliope. So I was just like, I'll just listen because I don't have all that stuff.
Absolutely. Well, I would love to have you listen in. Okay, so the materials I have are those 2 sheets of paper, which have my little elements there and my instructions. I also have these paper fasteners. They're brads. If you don't have brads, you can use a stapler or just straight up glue it all together. It's all the same. Glue stick works better than squeezy glue because it just dries faster. And scissors.
Crystal, I was going to tell you, I printed this off at my office today. And I was like, oh no, I don't want this printing off in the mailroom in case somebody sees it. So I'm going to print it off over by the ops office, like down on the other end of the building, which was very busy today because we have like not enough people on second shift. And so I walk over there and our second shift supervisor pulls it off the printer. He's like, what is this? I'm like, that's fine, give it to me. I'm sorry. Running from my office. He's like, what? I was like, it's a project. I'm like, give me that. I don't have a printer at home.
I love that. I'm sorry that happened to you, Maddie. That is funny, though.
No, it was super funny. I get along really well with the guys that work over there. So they were just like, yeah, whatever. Okay, here's your project. It's fine. Yeah, it was really funny.
Oh, my goodness gracious. That's hilarious. Okay, so I'm going to move this over here so that we can all see a bit of what I'm doing. But first things first, scissors, paper, cut out your parts. Cut out the parts, not your parts. Sorry, I have vanilla vodka in my drink tonight. I apologize. Oops. Part 2. Commence. Okay. So you have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different things to cut out on here. Most of them are cartilages. There's the cricoid cartilage. Most of these are oids. The thyroid cartilage, which is, yes, where that gland gets its name from. Same. Well, maybe they're named after each other. Who knows? And then one set of 2 arytenoids. And those things connect to the front. So it doesn't take a whole long time to put this together, but in my experience, you do best with sizing the larynx if you cut in the middle of the black line instead of like cutting on the outside of it and leaving an outline. It fits together best if you cut right on the black line. Don't cut through the dotted lines because those are your fold marks. Because you will need to fold a couple of elements of this to make it fit together. And this, I'll tell you where I got this larynx from. I have used this larynx for a number of years now inside of my choral and vocal pedagogy courses at the college level, and also just like in my high school courses too, when we have a science of sound lesson or unit. We do that. But this is from Jeremy Fisher for Vocal Process, and it's vocalprocess.co.uk. And you can just go on there and request your own if you want to in the future. But it's really fantastic. It's free, which is also the best part. It's free resources for teachers for the win. Okay, I've cut out my elements like around. Now I'm going to do the actual cutouts. I'm doing my cricoid first. Okay. So I'm going to do my cricoid and my arytenoids first, because those are the first 3 little elements that actually get put together. Dooba-dooba-doob. I feel like I need background music going on right now. Like those YouTube videos where just the interlude is just all of a sudden the music swells. In the meantime, I'll just fill the silence with my own sound effects. Don't you miss me? This is how I know you miss me. Willing to sit through my shenanigans under the guise of science. It's not a guise of science. I don't really think so. I think this is very fun science. Okay, I have my cricoid is totally cut out. Now I'm going to work on my little arytenoids. These little arytenoid dudes, they are going to end up becoming little pyramids, which is why they have so many fold marks on them. And I'm sure you've noticed, but the letters on each of these parts line up with each other, and that is also the point of gluing or pasting or stapling, as the case may be, whatever your materials are. If you glue the whole thing together though and staple the whole thing together, it will be a larynx. It just won't be movable. What's up, Jennifer?
Do you know the bone song? Like the thigh bone's connected to the hip bone. You could just do that with this, like the right note.
The cricoid's connected to the arytenoid. The arytenoid's connected to the cricoid. I'm gonna have to do that, and then do something about the inner ear too. What the malleus is connected to the stapes. I'd have to start with incus. Incus connected to the malleus. The malleus connected to the stapes.
We're gonna attempt this with tape. We're gonna see how that goes. I have.
Oh, I've also done it with tape.
Okay.
Yeah.
I was like, oh no, this might be.
You might need little itty bitty pieces
Yeah.
of tape, but it'll work.
Yeah, this might get a little bit weird, but we'll see what happens.
No, you know what? It's just, yeah, you'll be totally fine. I've made this with tape before too. Yeah, I forgot that was one of my suggestions, was Scotch tape as well. Yeah, so doable, like more than doable. That's how I did it with my high schoolers, because I certainly did not have brads or paper fasteners, and I was not going to give them to them because they were going to lose them all over the place.
Of course not.
Yeah. Okay.
High schoolers with it.
So while you're doing this place and piece cutout, I put something in the chat earlier tonight that I was just wondering.
Mm-hmm.
Flutter.
Oh.
Yes.
Is that close to like 1993 Snow White?
Oh, 1993. Like, we can even talk about original Snow White.
Oh,
yeah.
no, I meant 1930s. Sorry.
Oh, 1930s. Yeah, definitely. That's it. That is that.
So that's Flutter singing, is like the kind of thing.
Yeah, Flutter singing is a unique term for that, like, sort of style of like on the breath but off the breath, hyper breathy, floaty, fluttery sound. And the flutter is most stereotypical, like a characteristic of vibrato itself. But when the whole thing is fluttery, yep, just like that. Okay, I've moved on to my thyroid cartilage now, because this is the big one, the big bad boy here. It's the one that wraps around the outside of everything. Okay, after I'm finished with my thyroid though, I'm going to start putting some elements together, and you're free to follow along with me. Work ahead as you'd like. I know that there are some of you at home. Work ahead. That was me as a kid though. I was like, I got this. I can read the instructions. Thank you. And I always
I'm too visual for that. I'm like, show me to my face.
Yeah, if we can do it at the same time, I'm like, yup, cool. All about that as an adult now. Make sure that I'm doing it the same way.
Literally learning my whole job right now about, hey, show me how to do this so I can actually do this.
My coworker's like that. I'll show him how to do something. He's like, I have to just like do it on my own to figure it out. I'm like, that's fine. I'm here if you have questions. I'm gonna show you. I'm gonna click through it once. Let me know if you need help.
Love it.
Yeah.
All right. Almost done. So, still cutting out my thyroid here.
So do you know how, okay, there's different types of sopranos, like the coloratura, the mezzo, and I can't remember dramatic.
Oh, there's
So is
a
it the
lot
color?
of them.
There's a lot more than that? Okay, because those are the ones I know about. Is
Yep,
it like
there's
just
a whole lot.
certain sopranos that can do the flutter singing, or is it just, can anybody do the flutter singing?
Well, flutter singing is there's a healthy way to do it and an unhealthy way to do it. Flutter vibrato is typically not a healthy way of doing vibrato.
It's not.
I
Okay.
think the sound that you're thinking of is most characteristic of a coloratura soprano.
That's what I'm thinking of.
There's there's another one that my best friend is not a coloratura, but she's another type of soprano, and I cannot remember. My voice is characterized more as a spinto soprano.
Well, that's interesting. Yeah.
A spinto has this may be less true now than it was when I was like very vocally agile, but spinto has the ability to change the dynamic contrast of their voice regardless of the range that they are in, and it's especially impactful in the upper register when someone can go to a very quiet but high sound and then blossom that sound into something larger, louder. It takes a lot of muscle control to be able to do that well. And I was approaching that back in like my prime of my singing, but I'm quite out of practice now. Yeah, but there are a lot of different types of sopranos. I could send you the Wikipedia article that would link you to it, Jennifer, if you're interested.
I'd be interested. Yeah. I was thinking of the colorature sopranos. Are they the types that do fluttery singing, or is that different from fluttery singing? Okay.
Yeah, coloratures are the ones who are doing stuff like Queen of the Night arias, which is like that fluttery sort of sound. Yep, that's their style.
Yeah. Okay.
All right, everybody. You ready to put some pieces together? Okay, I'm going to start off with my cricoid, which I have done nothing to. It's just chilling like this. So I'm going to fold first on each of the dotted lines, making it rest upon itself like so. And then if you look B and C on either side of those dashed lines have a line through them. That is intended for you to cut a slit there. That is where one of your paper fasteners is going to go through if you are using paper fasteners. If you are not, you may use tape or a staple there. You do not need to make a cut. So that is for me. Boop, boop. All righty. Now, I'm taking my glue stick, still with my cricoid cartilage here. And you are going to glue one A to the other A. It just needs to fold over so they're overlapping. Like so. So cover that one A with glue. Put it together. Press. And then set it aside. Let it dry for a minute. And take out one of your arytenoids. One of these little guys. Fold on each of the dashed lines. And fold the same direction, which is like in. So the dash folding that way. So all of the black lines will still remain on the outside of the pyramid. Folding, folding. Okay. And now, depending on which arytenoid you have, if you have the one with 2 D's or the one with 2 E's, those are the ones that you're going to glue on top of each other. So I currently have the one with 2 E's in my hand, and I'm going to put glue on one of the flaps, like that, and fold it over so the other E rests on top of that. And I create myself a little pyramid with an open flap. Don't you do anything to close that flap though, okay? Whoops, I dropped it. Okay. Little pyramid guy. Set it down. Do the same with your other. Fold. And when you've made all 4 of your little folds, get your glue stick and glue the folds or the flaps together. Your 2 D's or your 2 E's. I'm on my D's here. Putting glue on one of my flaps. Folding my other D over. So that is glued on top of the other one, like so. Okay. I now have a cricoid ring and 2, oh, one on the floor, 2 arytenoids. These arytenoids are now going to be glued onto your cricoid ring on the respective letters. So I have my F, and my F is going to get glued onto the outside, right on top of one another, just like that. I'm going to put the glue on the bottom or the back of my F flap, like so. And gluing my F to my other F. Okay. This is what it looks like now from the side with one pyramid on there. And now for my other one, same thing, putting the glue on the back of my flap. Boom. We're almost done, y'all. Home stretch. Okay, 2 G's, match them up. Press. And you see even a little label right there. So you have cricoid on the outside and arytenoids right next to one another. Boom. Like so. Now, take your thyroid. fold on the dotted line there in the middle. And you now have this. If any of you at home have paper fasteners, after you've glued your arytenoids, it's not a bad idea to put paper fasteners on them as well. That way they have a little bit more, freedom of movement, and they can go a little bit forward and backwards without having to worry about moving too much. However, I did decide and discover that you have to sort of fold the paper fasteners over on one another because they're very long and this is very small in comparison. Okay, back to our thyroid here. This is going to get connected on the other sides of your cricoid. And this is where those slits come in. If you have the paper fasteners, that's going to go through the outside and through that slit to make it movable. If you do not, tape, glue, staple, whatever, those two bad boys together, no big deal. But line up your correct letters, your B with B and C with C. So you'll have the thyroid showing on the back and the cricoid showing on the front, at least comparatively to what we have been doing. So here are my brads there. Line up my B. Press that through. And then fold my tails over. And last side, my C's now. Ooh, okay. Be careful not to pinch yourself too. I poked and pinched myself far too many times earlier today. It's very uncomfortable, to say the least. All right, home stretch, y'all. Almost there. I now have, as I finish this up, my thyroid attached to my cricoid. Arytenoids have also been attached. So this is what we have so far. Thyroid is back here. Cricoid on the opposite side. We have one more piece. This last little bit is optional. You may choose to add it or not. This is called the epiglottis. The epiglottis is a very important little leaf-shaped piece of tissue that I mentioned earlier. The epiglottis's job is to sit at the very top of the larynx and serve as the flap to prevent any food or drink from getting down into the windpipe, into your trachea, and therefore down into your lungs. And it is a very important function because if you get something into your lungs, that will hurt very bad. Worse than you've ever experienced anything in your lungs ever before. It hurts real bad. And so your epiglottis prevents that from happening. Thanks, epiglottis. That's what we say around our house. If something almost goes down the wrong pipe, you get yourself coughing, thanks, epiglottis, I didn't choke. That's nice. Okay, here's how you apply your epiglottis if you so choose. I am on the back side of my thyroid here. The epiglottis gets glued on this part, like the little handle of the paddle side, and that gets glued right along the dashed line of the thyroid, about 2/3 of the way down. And that allows it to just stay as a flap open or closed. So this is about how much glue I'm putting on mine. It's maybe a little excessive, but whatever. Here's my thyroid, and this is gonna just rest about there. It'll feel like it's a comfortable spot. About like that. Press it down. And voila! You have completed, beautiful, your movable or non-larynx. Why is it movable? This part can go bloop, 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 just like if you're swallowing. And your epiglottis, that's how it works. When it actually gets engaged, the epiglottis goes down like this and protects the vocal folds, which are resting right inside of here. So that's how that works. Vocal folds, and then the esophagus is on the other side of the trachea, and that's where the food passes by too. Fascinating stuff, y'all. Thank you so much for being here tonight. I hope you have enjoyed our arts and crafts. How does the voice work? I've had a bunch of fun with this, and I think I'm going to end up making one of these out of foam one day because I think that would be super duper fun. Announcements. We can tap the recording off real quick before we make